Winston. Look here, buddy. Sit. Yes. Hi, Donald here with my shop partner, Winston. This video is going to be about how I built this miter saw station. I built this for the DWS779. It is the compound sliding miter saw, so it does stick out a ways from the wall. In this video, I'm going to go over how everything was built. In part 2, I'm going to go over how I added in the T-track on either side, made some homemade stop blocks, finished the top with shellac and added a adhesive back tape measure, and set everything else up. I probably will also look at some dust collection considerations. Now that I actually can use this, I wanted to see where the dust was going to start piling up before I actually cut any holes to add in dust collection. So if that sounds interesting, please watch the rest of this one. I'll get into the dimensions for everything. If you want to just learn more about how to do a fenceless stop block system for miter saw station, watch part 2. I'll have that link in the description. Let's get into it. Good boy. Good boy.
So first we'll start with cutting up some of the 4x4 sheets of 3/4 inch MDF that we bought. Basically, I'm cutting them into 30-inch wide sections and then leaving that 4-foot length because I want on the left side of the miter saw 8 feet and 4 feet on the right side. So then I can just kind of attach those two, and then the last piece will be the size that the actual miter saw footprint needs to be.
So what I'm checking here is to see if I move this all the way over, make sure that I've got enough room before it would hit something else, because there's going to be a beam right here for the table. So then same thing all the way over here. I actually got more room on this side, but it's even all the way around right now. So I've got 2.5 inches back, 2.5 inches in, 2.5 inches back, 2.5 inches in. So it actually works out pretty good to try and center it. Front to back, you can kind of see, takes up a fair amount of room. Let's try and get this level here. So there's a little bit of room I left in the back to have the dust come in, and then probably put a hole back here so that it collects the dust from the bottom. And then just enough room in the front to kind of line up with the front of the saw here where the actual base is.
So here we're just cutting the 2x4s to length for what I will need to make the actual frame that goes underneath the miter saw, underneath the MDF. And then I'm going through, and you'll see me do this a few times for this project, but basically I'm just taking off the rounded edges on the 2x4s by cutting, I believe I do like an 1/8 inch or so on the first edge. So I have it set, because they're, so you know, 2x4s are actually like 3.5 inches wide. So I cut off a 1/4 inch on the first one, and then I'm going through here and cutting off another 1/4 inch so that my final dimension's actually 3 inches wide for these 2x4s. And that's kind of how I built my plans. So and then I've got nice square stock to work with. Yes, it might be, you know, bowed or warped or whatever a little bit still, because it's a cheap 2x4, but it's a little nicer to work with. Looks a little nicer for the end product. It didn't take me that much extra time. Here you'll see I'm consulting my plans to make sure I get the right dimensions, as I already screwed up one cut. And then I'm just kind of laying out now to ensure that I have the right pieces. And you can kind of see that is going to be the frame underneath. Here I saw a lot of people just kind of showing that they're cleaning up their area, so I thought I'd do the obligatory cleaning up. And then you can see my garage floor is pretty slanted, so I had to bring it up that much in order to get it to be level. So we're going to be going going through and actually putting leveling feet on the legs in order to get it to all be level working surface, which I figured would be beneficial for any number of things that I'm going to be building in the future. And here you can kind of see how this is going to be. It's starting to come together for how this is going to be built. I am currently just dataing out a section that has a cord in the wall that I need to allot for, and this piece is going to be going right against the wall. You can see there's the cord that I made room for, and what this allows me to do is drop my level, but also make it so that I can screw directly into this. So I'm just I went through and found where all of my, I mean, you can kind of see where all of the studs are, because it's a garage and it wasn't like fully finished or anything. And then that allows me to screw in one side and then get it level. So this lower section here is going to be where the miter saw actually sits. So I did need to figure out like how much to come down in order to have it be pretty level by the time that I place the miter saw on top of that middle section. So here then I'm just going through and milling up some more 2x4 to be used for, I believe this is for the legs here. And then you can see me kind of adjusting it to get it back down to 3 inches wide so that I've got square stock. And this one you can kind of see is wobbling a little bit. It was a little bit twisted on me. And then here I'm basically going through and changing batteries. I think this one dies too after another pass. I have to get the big boy out. Yep, that one dies too. Gotta go get the big boy. And then basically these pocket holes are going to work to create the frame coming directly out from the wall from that stud that I attached to, well, the piece that I attached to the studs on the wall. So you can kind of see I'm going to be coming straight out from the wall using these, and I'm going to have legs in the front supporting the front side, but it's freestanding right now. I need to make the legs yet, but this is kind of the idea I had. I have a lip on my garage wall that I needed accounted for, so I couldn't put legs in the back, or it would have been an awkward situation. So I just decided to put those pieces straight along the wall, and then I could come out from that and have legs in the front. So what I'm cutting right now are all of the pieces that are going to be like the kind of support in between. I don't even know what you would want to refer to it as, but the stretcher pieces underneath for the frame. So these are going in between to help provide some rigidity and support for any weight that'll be on there. Like once I'm done, I'm going to be able to stand on this. I have 16-foot ceilings in my garage actually, so I can actually stand on these to get to some wood storage and stuff if I really need to. So here I'm using that level to figure out exactly how far down I would need to go to have my legs be level, and then I think I go back and actually cut down a little bit more to allow for the leveling feet. And the nice thing with the leveling feet is you don't have to be super exact, because there's some travel there with the leveling feet. So I can just be close. On the short side, you don't want to be over, because then you won't leave room for the leveling feet, but you can be a little bit short, and I think there was an inch or two travel on those leveling feet, so I just got to get close. And then here I'm making the kind of the frame coming out, and then the leg going down. And all of this is done with just pocket holes. I'm not even gluing anything, because I want to be able to take this apart when I leave. And there I was just checking for a level again, and there you can kind of see I am making sure that this is going to work with so there's the leveling feet itself, and I'm checking how far I would need to come up to allow for that to go in there, and then I can do a hole punch and drive the screws in here. So I'm just marking again that same depth on the other feet. I didn't realize I would need to allow for that when I made my original cuts. So here I'm just pre-drilling, probably a little unnecessary in pine, but nevertheless the screws went in real easy. And then so that you can see that that leveling foot will be able to be screwed down so that I can bring it up to level. You want to make sure you're coming up to level, because that's kind of how these leveling feet will work. So you want to be on the short side and then bring it up to level. So there I made the whole rest of the frame, and I'm screwing those leveling feet up and down to get it so that that cross piece is level, and then level in the front as well. So there's the two, and then it's level going left to right and front to back. So you kind of have to make sure all of that is working together. And there I sort of set out my pieces on top to make sure, again, with those being on top, then I would be level. And here I'm just putting in those stretcher pieces to provide some extra security. Since this is the 8-foot side, I decided to put an extra piece in the middle. It might have been overkill, but I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to support all of that, so I just decided to do a 2x4 in the middle, and then just a few, I think like every, what would that be, 2 feet or so, put a stretcher, and then I made sure that I had a stretcher in the middle, so that I would be able to screw this MDF down into that as well, in the middle section. So here I'm just pre-drilling and countersinking as well, because I don't want anything interfering with the top of this, so that it'll be nice and flat. And I've kind of got my depth set to be what I need it to be, and then I can just go back with some spax screws and drive those in so it stays put. All of this was pretty flush. I didn't really have to worry about, like, having my 2x4s be too ridiculously bowed. Everything kind of, you use your stop blocks, so everything's the same size. And then here you can see there's that little clip for it's actually the sprinkler system, so I need to go through and cut that out. So I'm actually using the J-Cat's Moses the dovetail guide that has a 90-degree cut, and then a little hand saw there, and then I'm using my coping saw to get rid of that waste. This was the only way I kind of thought would be the easiest way to do it, and then that slides in there just right. And then I can continue doing a hole punch for where those are going to line up, and basically do the same thing on the left side to pre-drill, countersink, and then drive home those screws to hold that in place. So the project on the left side is basically repeated, but just shorter on the right side. So I only need leveling feet on two of the legs. There's not a leg in the middle on this left side. There's just one leg on the far left side and one leg on the right side, and then the miter saw, and then there'll be the same sort of situation on the right. Left 8 feet is completely up and running. Everything is countersunk and screwed into place. I got all the bracing done. Even cut out a little notch back here for that. Come out pretty good, pretty flush. Didn't have to trim it up at all. Yeah. So on to the middle section, which basically just needs to be screwed in to this leg, and then do that half screwed into that leg, and then this will be done completely too.
Well, that about does it for us here. Thanks for watching. If you guys liked the video, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. I'll try and respond. If you guys want to catch the next video where I go into more detail about how I'm going to do a fenceless stop block system for this so that I can still actually use this large area when I'm not using the miter saw, check out the next video. I'll leave a link in the description. In the meantime, go make something. I'll catch you guys later. Winston.